welcome you to. Okay, thank you. Yes, my name is Yoriko Kishimoto, President of the Board of Directors, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is 4:01 p.m. This meeting is being held in person at our offices, administrative office, and by teleconference pursuant to Government Code Section 54953. So members of the public are welcome to attend and participate in person or via Zoom. And instructions for submitting public comments are available on the meeting agenda. So Madam Clerk, would you please call roll?
Director Gleason?
Here.
Director Christine Tucker?
Here.
Director Riffle?
Here.
President Kishimoto?
Here.
Director Holman?
Here and participating remotely. I was informed last night that I had been exposed to a contagious illness, so I'm participating remotely.
Director McNiven?
Here.
Director Sear?
I can't quite hear, but Sarah is here.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, and I think we heard from Director Holman that pursuant to AB 2449, because of that exposure to illness, she is not able to be here in person, but we're glad to have you online.
That's correct, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now is the time for oral communications. So if there is somebody here to speak on items which is not on the agenda, now is the time. And do we have any speakers?
I don't have any oral public comments.
Okay. All right. I don't see any requests. So we'll move right along. And the first item of business is a happy item. And it is a special order, which is a proclamation honoring our sister organization, the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority's 30th anniversary. And I'm very pleased to welcome the executive director and the board chair. Is that correct? Yes. So welcome. Let's see. So we do have a beautiful proclamation for you. I will paraphrase this proclamation and then bring it down to you and see if there's any of my colleagues who want to make any comments for you. So it says, whereas 30 years ago, citizen activists and community leaders gathered to form a grassroots movement with a desire to conserve the important natural resources of Santa Clara Valley, support agriculture, and connect people to nature. And whereas in 1993, the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority, was created by the state legislature to balance development of the region with protection of the ecological integrity of the land across the cities of Campbell, Milpitas, Morgan Hill, San Jose, and Santa Clara, and the unincorporated areas of Santa Clara County. And whereas the Open Space Authority has acquired and protected more than 30,000 acres of land across 4 open space preserves. And whereas the Open Space Authority has been a steadfast partner to the Midpeninsula Regional Open Space District since its creation, with both agencies working in concert to protect and enable critical regional wildlife corridors between Santa Cruz Mountains, the Diablo Mountain Range through the Coyote Valley, and the Gavilan Range through the Pajaro Valley, as well as to conserve sensitive natural habitat lands as part of California's globally recognized biodiversity hotspot. And whereas in 2014, voters passed Measure Q to fund the Open Space Authority and voted again to extend the funding in 2020 through the passage of Measure T with an overwhelming majority, placing it among the top 10 most successful conservation measures nationwide in the past 30 years. And therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District does hereby express its congratulations to our longtime partner, the Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority, on the celebratory occasion of its 30th anniversary. So Congratulations. And yes, why don't I see what comments? Yes, Director Riffle.
Absolutely. Wow, 30, I remember when you all were created, and I can't believe it was 30 years ago. How did that happen? I have had the incredible opportunity for at least the last 20 years to work with the Open Space Authority at the Packard Foundation and then at Peninsula Open Space Trust and here at the district. And what a fantastic organization, what you folks have been. What I have always been impressed with the Open Space Authority is scrappy comes to mind. I mean, you guys are lean, you just get it done. And, and I just think about Coyote Valley where, that was just, what are we going to do? And Andrea, I don't think you even blinked. I think you just said, we're going to do this. And, and I think it's been that leadership that not only Coyote Valley, but for the last 30 years that you and the board and the staff have just, what is it, punched above your weight or whatever analogy you want is, you've just been fantastic. And then bringing it back to the district, I mean, you're our sister agency, you're our neighbor agency, you're our thought partner, you're our partner in crime, whatever you want to say. In fact, we even swap staff. I think are we 1-1 now? So I how that's gone, but so I think we are just incredibly so fortunate to not only have the agency, but all of your staff and your board, but the two of you. I mean, thank you for being here and thank you for doing everything that you do. And congratulations on 30 very successful years and hopefully another 30 and a 30 and a 30 on top of that. So thank you.
Okay, well, wonderful, because I know Director Riffle in particular has worked a lot with on the Coyote Valley area as well. So thank you for that. Yes.
I don't have, no one can follow Kurt. Do it well. But I will say, I don't have so much experience with the Open Space Authority, but I will say that knowing that we have the partnership with you in the Coyote Valley area and south into San Benito County, hopefully, it's so comforting to know that this large area is being protected in such a strategic and comprehensive way. Because as we know, there aren't, wildlife doesn't know boundaries. And so knowing that we have your partnership makes our work better. So thank you. And here's to, well, our 50th was from 50 to forever. And I think yours should be from 30 to forever too. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Yes, Director Sear.
I'll go along with what Zoe said, that I'm tough to follow, Kurt, because you've got more direct contact certainly than I have had, but been around since the beginning. And one of the things that has been really clear to me is, even though we're operating in slightly different areas, and because of the more urban interface that you have, that makes it a little different and more difficult in some respects. But the cooperation, the shared vision, the as Kurt mentions, the often shared teams, it just indicates, the common vision that's held by both organizations, as well as other partner organizations that we each share or observe from a slight distance and say, hot dang, go get them. So, and I think Coyote Valley is an absolute spectacular. I remember when it was going to be all IBM and warehouses. And thank goodness it's not. There's still chunks of it left that are still out there saying, oh, please save me too. So go get them, Tiger.
Okay, Vice President McNair.
I'll add my kudos to the Santa Clara Valley Authority. What a great job you've done. I haven't done quite what Kurt has done, but through my previous work with Green Foothills, I've spent a lot of time down in Coyote Valley at your lovely preserves, watching the birds, and the way you manage your lands is wonderful. And I always recognized that many years ago. Plus, my good friend Helen Chapman is here, chairman of the board. What a great chairman you have. So thank you. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to invite you to come up and to say a few words if you'd like.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, board members of Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District and staff and really, I should say friends. It's a big honor to be with you this afternoon and very touched at the resolution that hopefully you will soon pass. And I think Kurt Riffle touched on kind of a lot of the points that I would like to make, but I want to start by saying without Mid-Peninsula Regional Open Space District, there would be no Santa Clara Valley Open Space Authority. And so I really like to think about the effort that went into the formation of Mid-Pen back in 1972. But for the amazing contributions of women like Nanette Hanko and Mary Davies and Garnetta Annable and Virginia Holtz, we all wouldn't be sitting here. I love that we're neighbors. I love that we work together. And I think our partnership and our collaboration just gets stronger and stronger. I just had a nice opportunity to meet the general counsel of Mid-Pen and your executive director and I, your general manager. We sit on the board of Together Bay Area together. Your board president and my board chair sit together on LAFCO. And whenever we need guidance on a policy, whether it's HR or it's resource management or whatever it happens to be, we're on the phone, we're sending emails with your staff. And hopefully every once in a while, you might call us up to see if we can help you out with something. But I think the challenges facing us only get bigger as time goes on. And so this relationship we have really, really is important. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out, we've had a great working relationship with Josh Hugg, the importance of working together on policy at the state level, the regional level, our willingness to jump into the fray on issues like housing and energy is just really, really important. So this weekend for us is a time to celebrate, just like your 50th was. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for honoring us this afternoon. Thank you.
So actually, Anna, would you like to join me in just presenting this? Oh, yes. We're not. It's already been signed. Sure.
Can I make a suggestion? How about if you take the photo against the backdrop of the video?
How about walking?
Much better. That one you can publish.
Oh. Wow, thank you. Yes, Helen and I serve on LAFCO, and definitely your presence is so important, and thank you. Okay, so thank you very much. Okay. Next item is, we need to vote to cancel the 7 o'clock regular meeting, since we're meeting at 4 p.m. today, because the Supervisor Joe Simidian is having an event on Lehigh. So thank you for accommodating that schedule. So may I have a motion to cancel the April 26th regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Director Seer, I second.
Okay, we
Oh,
have
did I
a
mess
motion
you up?
and
I'm sorry.
motion and second then? Okay. Yeah, why? Okay. All right. Yes. Vice President McMiniman seconds. Okay. And may I have, do we need to do roll call? Okay.
Director Gleason,
Yes.
Director Christine Tucker,
Yes.
Director Riffle,
Yes.
President Kishimoto,
Yes.
Director Holman,
Yes.
Director McNigan, Director Seer.
Yes,
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. Thank you. On to the adoption of the agenda. May I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
Direct-
Oh,
I'll second that.
okay. We have a motion and a second. Okay. And roll call, please.
Director Gleason,
Yes.
Director Christine Tucker,
Yes.
Director Riffle,
Yes.
President Kishimoto,
Yes.
Director Holman,
Yes.
Director McNiven,
Yes.
Director Seer.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. Okay. There are 4 items on the consent calendar. Does anyone want to request an item pulled from the consent calendar?
I would like to request that item number 4 be pulled, please.
Okay. We'll pull number 4. So if there's no questions or comments on the first 3, may I have a motion to move approval of the first 3 items?
I'll move adoption of the consent calendar for items 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
I'll
Sure, I'll
second.
second. Oh, Craig.
Craig.
Maybe luck today.
Director Gleason. Okay. This is second set. Okay. And do we have any public comments?
We do not have any public comments for this item.
Okay. Thank you. And roll call, please.
Director Gleason,
Yes.
Director Christine Tucker,
Yes.
Director Riffle,
Yes.
President Kishimoto,
Yes.
Director Holman,
Yes.
Director McNiven,
Yes.
Director Seer.
yes,
So motion passes with items 1 through 3. Item 4 is pulled and passes 7-0. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, let's pick up item number 4. And this is about the consolidating the budget and analysis department and finance department into one budget and finance department and related changes. So, Director Holman, do you want to start off with any questions?
I had submitted some questions and they sort of got answered and sort of didn't. Let me go to those. Yeah, they sort of got answered. There were other questions asked too. I guess my main thing is I'm certainly in favor of efficiency, and I absolutely applaud looking for opportunities to be efficient. At the same time, I think structure reconfiguration is something that needs to be carefully evaluated. And I really, the comment that I had sent in was that it seemed like we ought to hear from the district controller. So I would like for that to happen.
Actually, yes, Director, the district controller is actually here today.
Thank you, because I could not tell, of course.
Yes.
And the other piece of this, just lastly, like the other piece of this is it's not clear to me, and maybe this is something I should have learned over time being here, but it's not clear to me where the controller fits in with this structure, current or proposed. So what's the interface? And so I'd just like to learn more about where we're thinking of heading, where we are now, where we're thinking of heading.
Okay, well, so should we invite the district controller up to, I mean, do you want to make some comments on what, your thoughts on the proposal? And you've seen the questions and your recommendations or thoughts.
Are you speaking? I'm sorry. Since I'm remembering.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm speaking to
Mike.
the controller.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, Mike Foster, the controller. When this this first came up, and Stefan mentioned this, this to me, I expressed strong reservations, and I still have some reservations, but I guess the main thing I'm interested in is maintaining strong financial control of the district. And I consider in most companies, the role that the finance manager plays here would be called a controller. You know, and that controller isn't necessarily the most popular person in the company. You know, that person is the financial control person. He also supplies information, but his or her primary job is not customer service, as it says here in the mentioned several times in the answers. It's financial control and providing useful information to the employees and board or whatever. And so I think we have that today. We have a quite cantankerous, sometimes, financial manager, but he is a very strong financial control person. And I want to maintain that. So that if you just told me that we are going to instead of having a budget manager and a finance manager, have one person, with both functions reporting to that person, I have no objection to that, as long as the person in charge is a strong financial control person, not a customer service person, but a strong financial control person. So it's hard for me to differentiate the structure from the people. So and that's the problem I have in discussing this in public, is that the structure, and all you're being asked to do is to approve the structure, because you don't hire the people, right? You don't approve the person being hired, so so it's hard for me to object to the structure as long as you have the right people in the structure, so if there was a strong financial control person being the combined manager, that would be fine with me. Well, why would I object to that? No one would object to that. So, but going from a person, a strong financial control person, to someone that's not or hasn't done that, I have reservations about that. So do I have a recommendation? No, because I didn't have any idea this was a board, something the board would be being asked. It was a fait accompli. I'd objected and overruled, and we had a reorganization, and I was just going to have to work with that person, and try to make sure that financial control was preserved under the new person. And I'm perfectly happy to do that, and planning to do that. But if you ask me, I have reservations about what's being planned? Yeah, I do, because I know the people involved, so so it's hard for me to make a recommendation. The proposed I have a problem if the senior financial control person in the whole district is a senior accountant. I have a problem with that, a lot of problem with that. So, or what's called a finance supervisor in the questions. But that's too far down in the organization for the person in charge of financial control to be. But if the manager was a financial control person, I'd have no concern at all. And can I help turn that person into a financial control person? Yeah, I'll try to do that. I'll do that, because I'm going to maintain financial control in this district, no matter what anybody says. So I'll do that, but it's going to be harder, if I start with someone that hasn't done that.
Okay.
But customer service is not the prime function of the controller.
Okay, why don't,
So I can answer questions, but I don't know what else I can offer here.
yeah, why don't we see
So
if our
just a
general
couple of
manager
things and
or
yeah,
CFO?
just a couple of things. And thanks, Mike, for
Thank you.
providing your input. So because I'm putting everything together myself in terms of what's before the board. I understand that it's not the structure that may be of concern or have questions. It's the people in those positions. And we do have, we have someone with a pretty extensive background, and Stefan can go into that. And there are ways also to help further train both initially coming into that role and also long-term. And we also, thankfully, we have someone like Mike and also Stefan, who can also provide strong coaching and oversight as well. And there's other measures that we can take as well to make sure that this restructuring and the people who are in those positions are successful. But I don't know if Stefan wanted to add anything more.
Okay, yeah.
Good afternoon, Stefan Jaskelak, CFO. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to the experience than meets the eye. So far, the role has been customer service oriented in the budget role, if you will, and analysis. But that is the role. That is what is visible at the moment. There's past experience that includes accounting, that includes treasury, that includes reconciliation, finding errors, correcting them. There is a lot more experience behind than what we're experiencing here, you know, as far as the manager goes. And I have no doubt that the transition can be made to stay on top of all the financial controls that we already have in place. We have a very robust ERP system. We recently converted from New World Systems to Munis, as you know, and you know, there were things that were found as well, and that took a village, including the finance group, but also the budget group. They were all working together, finding errors, finding cleanups, rolling up their sleeves, and plowing through data and correcting all of that. There is a lot more to it. I don't have any doubt that this will work. Otherwise, I would not have presented it to the board. I would not author this. I would not ask you for this. And there is always ongoing training. And I think with the controller's help, we can definitely bring this to a whole new level, because having financial controls in place is very important. It's not the only responsibility of a finance manager. But it also doesn't mean that some of this cannot be done with a positive attitude at times, and working with departments, because ultimately it's also the departments and the project manager's responsibility to make sure that their accounting is in order and that they review their ledgers as well, make sure that everything is accurate. And that can only be done if you work well with the departments from a customer service perspective. And that's what the customer service perspective is about, not about doing everything that the departments are asking for, right? You can't. I mean, that's not the role of finance. That's not the role that you have with all the controls in place. We also have a separate procurement function, and that's also where a big part of the control comes in place, because that's where contracts enter into the system. That's where purchase orders enter into the system, and invoices are ultimately made it to those purchase orders that already have general ledgers established to it. So there's a lot more controls in place than just what we're seeing at the moment.
Okay, so, I mean, I did have a little discussion with our general manager before the meeting, and possibly, depending on how the board is feeling. I mean, if you would like we could continue this item, have our staff return with a little bit more information about the issue about financial control, or obviously, you know, you could choose just to pass it tonight as well, or we could have it come back
May,
next week,
may I add one more thing as far as the timing of this?
2 weeks, I guess.
I'm not here 2 weeks from now.
Ah,
That's why I asked for this item for today. 4 weeks from now, or 2 meetings from now, I should say, it doesn't work because that's our budget meeting. That's a
Mhm.
very big meeting for all of
Mhm.
us. And that's the only board item on the budget. If we push it into June, we have vacancies.
mm,
And if we can get the blessing of the board with the caveats and with Mike's assistance to continue working on this and making sure that these controls are up to snuff,
okay.
right? Making sure that everything works the way Mike would like it and that we all would like it.
Mhm.
That would enable me to start recruiting for the finance supervisor, so I don't have a hole in a very tiny department. Because that's a very big percentage to have people absent.
Yeah.
We felt that in the fall. We felt that during the conversion. We
Mhm.
now have a temp who's rapidly catching up, reconciling, making journal entries, everything else. But it's very noticeable if you only have 3 people in the department and 1 is absent.
Yes, because we're
So
right in the
that's
middle of
like
the budget season.
just
yeah.
for your consideration as far
Okay.
as timing goes.
The
I
other
understand.
thing, just recognizing that leaving a vacancy would be a hit, because it is such a small department, and each individual person who contributes it provides a major functional need for the
Mhm.
district. I could also come back to you regardless with information, if you decide to approve tonight, regardless, come back to you anyway with a board FYI memo to
Mm.
explain those steps that we would take to make sure that this position and the person in the position has everything that they need to make sure that they become strong in their financial control role
Mm.
for the agency.
Okay. Yes, Director Riffle and then Director Kristen Tucker.
The only thing, I do have comments, but I'm wondering if we should allow Director Holman, especially since she's not here, just to finish her line of questioning. And
Okay.
then I'll be happy. I'd like to weigh in.
Sure. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't see your hand up there, Director Holman. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. It's always difficult when there's something that comes. I didn't realize I know there's a vacancy, or at least coming up. It's always difficult when you have like got to get this down. And so there is that. I had noticed, I didn't mention, but I had noticed the thing about customer service. I guess who's the customer is one question. And customer service has been, in the last several years, been used a lot in government agencies. And it's always been a challenge for me because it's public service, and how that balances with customer service can be a little dicey, quite frankly. I guess what I would, 2 or 3 thoughts. One is, how it's going to work for the CFO, the general manager, and the controller, all of those. And if what comes back to us doesn't reflect the input of all of those people, I'm not sure how we're going to get to the best response. I do wonder, timing is again an issue, but if this topic couldn't go to try to help expedite it, is to go to the budget committee to look at, and then so we could bring something with a recommendation to the board, and so vet the issues that might exist there at committee level. So those are the thoughts. And I am still a little bit like, what is the interface between the controller and this hierarchy, if you will? So thanks.
Okay. Director Riffle.
Great, thanks. I actually was in support of this coming into this meeting, and based on what I read in preparation for this, and given the comments that I heard from our controller and from our CFO, I'm even more in support of moving forward with this. I'm confident, especially under the guise of our outstanding controller, that that this will move forward, and I think we'll have the right financial prudence, if you will. And I think Mike expressed it well. You've got a structure, but then you've got people. I mean, that goes in any job. And what I was listening for, but what I thought that I read in this is that this is structured for success. And absolutely, we've got to get the right people in there, but absolutely, we've got also Mike to make sure that from a controller point of view, that we're functioning in that checks and balances way. So I appreciate Director Holman asking these questions, but I'm in support of moving forward with this and in an expeditious way. So thank you.
All right, thank you. I too am in support of this. However, I do really appreciate Director Holman's questions. And I want to follow up on our general manager's offer of creating a memo. And I'm wondering if that same thing could be done, if our controller could also do that, be part of this process and provide the board with a memo that helps us understand your perspective, how you might be knit into the process either better or whether you're comfortable with the role, if you see things that need to still be addressed. I think that would also be helpful. Those are my thoughts for now. Thank you.
And then possibly the other thought is we'll have another chance to look at at least the structure when FOSM comes back to us as well. Right? So we can see how the structure is working by that time. So
Although it did note, right, that they did check with our consultant who said, yeah, this seems to make sense. Did I get that right?
it did say
Absolutely,
something
yes,
about that.
that's correct.
Right.
We-
So in effect,
did
it's
check.
been for what that's worth, but
Uh-huh.
I'm glad they did check.
Yes, yeah. And so there's some, so it is so, Mr. Controller, do you think, will you be able to come back with a written follow-up report at some point and let us know how it goes if this passes tonight? And
Oh, if I have concerns, you'll know.
Okay.
And vice versa. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
you'll let us know.
sure.
Okay,
That's always true.
all right, okay. Well, there's some, oh yes, okay, Dr. Sear.
Just sort of a general comment, and that is one of the things I'm feeling a little uncomfortable with, and I suspect is underlying some of the other comments, is the sense of haste and having to operate at speed because of the vacancy. And I think all of us would prefer to have a little bit more time and flexibility before making a very significant choice in the restructuring of the district. But given the fact that I think that weighs heavily, this need for speed, as it were, that I'm going to vote in support of this, but just a kind of underlying sense that part of our discomfort may well be the fact that the reality is we have a big hole in the organization and hopefully can fill it competently in a reasonable amount of time.
Okay. Yes.
Well, I know that change is really hard, but I have a lot of faith in the way you guys operate. I've been here for 6 months and I think we'll make it work. We'll look on the bright side, not on the, with all due respects to you, Director Holman, I think we can make this work.
Yes, Dr. Gleason.
Yeah, I think one thing is that it does seem like there's a pretty big disconnect here. And I'm not sure exactly what that came out of, but I think it's important for the controller to be tied in more so that we're getting more of that combined picture. I think we, saw new information come on the table sort of at the last minute here, and we're talking about that now. It would be better if that was really integrated as we go along. And then one other question I have is just, are we targeting the right level of experience for the financial person here, given what the controller said?
Is that a question?
Oh, well, Stefan may know more than me, but this person is very smart and very talented in what she's doing now. But this is a different role. Oh, the financial control part of the role is different. And so we'll see. We'll make it work.
Yes.
It's hard. It's good to start with a smart person, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe to complete controller's points. I have tapped this person several times when there are holes in my organization, whether it's procurement, whether it is systems conversion, data review, reconciling, etc. Never faltered, always meets deadlines, and deadlines are important too, especially when we're dealing with finances. And as I mentioned in previous roles, there have been a lot of accounting, revenue, reconciling activities as well, experience, and also treasury experience of bank accounts, wire transfers, bond payments, etc. And that's also important. So there's a lot of different facets to it, a lot of exposure to all these facets. Beginning to end accounting, not yet, but a year from now, I would say absolutely. I hope, pending your vote, of course. But yeah, she's very smart, has taken everything very quickly. So there's, again, I don't have any reservations or questions about this next part of throwing something new at her, if you will.
Okay. I know it's very tough working in this labor there's a market, huh? Yeah.
There are no financial people available on the market to hire.
Wow.
I have been to DC to committee meetings. I've been to conferences statewide, and I've got one national coming up. There are a lot of sessions about the shortage of finance people, especially in public service, but also private.
Wow.
People are exiting, people are not entering. Our own external accountant have 4 people quit in the same week.
Wow.
Which caused our delay, unfortunately. But I mean, that's just a symptom, and there is no easy remedy.
Okay. Well, we appreciate everybody working in this difficult environment then. Yeah. Okay, I think, are we ready for a motion then?
Seeing no other question, did we have any
Any
input from the
comments and
public?
public
Sorry.
comments?
We do not have any public comments on this item.
No? Okay. With that, and with what I heard tonight, this afternoon, I would like to move the general manager's recommendations, number 1 and number 2.
I'll second.
Okay. All right.
Looks like Director Holman has her hand up.
Yes. Director Holman. Yes. Thanks for reminding me. Director Holman, go ahead.
Yes, but a couple of things. One is sometimes these discussions aren't easy, and yet it's the role of the board to have oversight over such items. And sometimes they're just difficult questions or things that need to be addressed, at least for some of our comfort level at times. So thank you for that. Appreciate also that both the comments from, or all the comments from the controller, general manager, and our CFO. Thank you very much for that. I also was interested in the suggestions by Director Christine Tucker being added to the motion, or at least see that they are going to happen. And you stated it really well. If you could restate that. You wanted a memo from the general manager and the controller about what, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think what needed to happen, what needed to be seen, or what they would like to see to have this come out to be a successful transition and end result.
I think that's what I said. Yes, I think the general manager made a great suggestion that she would prepare a memo. Did you want to elucidate what that might?
So maybe this could be a joint memo from the controller and general manager with a follow-up on how to position the restructuring and the employees for success. To
I
me,
might suggest that it not be a joint memo. I mean,
okay,
I think,
we can do it separate.
I think so. Yeah.
That would be great. And so is that accepted as a friendly amendment to the motion?
And it's a friendly suggestion.
Is that formally adopted as the motion, as part of the motion?
Well, in principle, I'm fine with it as the person making the motion. Sometimes I get a little perturbed though, as we clutter up our motions with it. And maybe I'll just look at our council. Is this basically, we're all in agreement that this is what we want our staff to do. Is this important that we include this in the motion per se, or can we go with, yeah, we all understand that's what's going to happen.
I think this is at the pleasure of the board, how you want to direct the general manager, if you're comfortable providing that feedback. It's the type of direction you provide in other forms without voting, on a motion. So it's, I can't imagine that you wouldn't get what you asked for, but it's really up to those of you who are voting on the motion if you want to include that or not.
Okay.
So it's yourself and who was the seconder?
Margaret.
Margaret.
All right, then.
Oh, yes.
Then let's go ahead and add that. And clerk, were you able to capture that?
Okay, so I have the motion to accept the general manager's recommendations with the caveat that there will be two separate memos, one from the general manager and one from the controller. Did I capture that?
I think you need a little bit more. Keep going.
Yeah. Let's see on
The separate memos from the general manager and controller that further explain the role and
necessary steps.
Needed to make a successful transition
This restructuring. Yeah,
and the
successful
restructuring and the successful restructuring.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about wording by committee. If you can capture all of that, I'm good with the addition.
Thank you.
This is why I don't like these things. Go ahead, Margaret.
We didn't say by when, but I'm sure it'll be timely. So thank you.
Okay, so I'd just like to confirm that Director Riffle, that you're bringing the motion, and Director McNiven, you can second the motion that was just restated?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, very good. If no further discussion, let's have roll call.
Okay, roll call. Director Gleason?
Yeah, so I heard the management team saying we'll make this work, including Mike, so I'll vote yes.
Okay. Director Christine Tucker?
Yes.
Director Riffle?
Yes.
President Kishimoto?
Yes.
Director Holman?
Gratefully, yes.
Director McNiven?
Yes.
Director Seer?
Yeah,
Motion passes 7-0. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank
you.
you to our
Appreciate
CFO and to our controller and our general manager. Tough. Sounds like a very tough environment to be working out there. All right. So we are on to the main business item for tonight, which is the Hawthorne's Area Plan, approval of technical reports and public access working group structure and recruitment process. And yes.
I'll say a few words. This is Ana Ruiz, General Manager. So before the board today, we have a number of important technical reports that have been prepared to date to help inform the planning process for the Hawthorne site plan. And so you'll be hearing the findings around those, which we also presented to the Planning and Natural Resources Committee. And also, very important for today, so that we can move our process forward to the next phase, is the composition, the structure, the process for establishing what we're now calling the Hawthorne's Area Public Access Working Group. And this is a group of various stakeholders that we would work closely with in the coming months to incorporate all of the information that we've gathered from the various technical studies. And this includes everything from natural resource surveys, cultural resource surveys, various site condition reports, line of sight studies, et cetera, to inform recommendations that we can then forward to the Planning and Natural Resources Committee around specifically public access. Because we do know that that's an area of high interest for the public in both the local community and the broader community. The property itself is small in comparison to our larger open space preserves. It's only 79 acres. However, the way I've looked at this particular property, there are factors about it that make it very attractive for public access. First of all, it's highly accessible. There are major roadways, and then obviously Highway 280 is very close by, that folks can take to easily access this property. It's also located within very close proximities to numerous communities. Certainly, it's within the town of Portola Valley. Palo Alto is very close by, so is Mountain View, Los Altos Hills, Los Altos, and beyond, many other communities. And then also thinking about the site itself, it has, in comparison to many of our other open space preserves and lands, it has generally fairly gentle grades and slopes, which again really make it much more highly accessible for a wide variety of users, people of various physical abilities, families with small kids and strollers, people of all ages. And so it's really, and even though the mileage there might not be particularly long, many people are interested in shorter loops for their walk before the day begins, or as the day is closing, or for weekends with family activities, etc. And I think about, for example, the Baylands areas that are close by, the Stanford Dish area. Those again are very highly accessible, and certainly the Baylands, gentle grades and very popular. A lot of people come out there from both very local areas, but beyond as well. And so that, that makes the site for me, has a lot of potential to invite people to experience nature close by, and as potentially also a gateway to other open space preserves that we manage. So because of that, in thinking about the Public Access Working Group, I just want to relate to the board that you may want to really consider having a variety and diversity of voices in that Public Access Working Group that both represent the interests, the needs, the desires, the concerns of the local community, but also beyond, of the broader community as well, to make sure that those discussions are really robust, that they incorporate a lot of perspectives and ideas and information, so that at the end of the day, we really come out with very good, strong recommendations that we can forward to the committee. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to our staff.
Thank you, board. My name is Tina Hugg, Senior Planner, and I am joined this afternoon by Ari Nuri and Ashley Mack, who will also be presenting on the project today. We do have a large body of work, so we will try to get through as quickly as possible because we know you have a meeting after this. We have a 50 slide deck, so we'll really try to speed it up for you. On the screen are the general manager's recommendations, and I won't read them. You have them in front of you, but we have technical reports, as was mentioned. We have a public access working group, and when we get to the slide, you'll see how much there is in there to unpack. We have a board liaison that needs appointment and consideration of an ad hoc committee, depending on the recruitment process that is selected for the interest area representatives. I'll start quickly with a project overview. This is the agenda for today. We're going to have a very brief project overview. We're wrapping up phase 2, the existing conditions. So we will go through these deliverables very quickly for you. These are the deliverables that will be provided to the Public Access Working Group in phase 3, which is the programming and conceptual planning phase. So there's all of this is teeing up this phase 3 effort that is about to start. We will have opportunities to for the board to ask questions, clarifications throughout the presentation, and we will then conclude with next steps, and it'll return to the board for the usual questions, public comment, and so forth. And I'm going to immediately pass this over to Ari, and she'll take it away. Thanks.
Thanks, Tina. All right, so just to orient everyone here, the Hawthorns area is a 79-acre property located in the town of Portola Valley, directly across from Roberts Market. Although it's located approximately 1 mile to the east, it is considered part of Windy Hill Preserve. Additional nearby open spaces include Pearson Arrastradero Preserve, Foothills Park, and Coal Mine Ridge Preserve. As you can see in this aerial image, the property is bounded by Los Trancos Creek to the east, Alpine Road to the north, and low-intensity residential and commercial property. There are 3 existing entrances to the Hawthorns area. The main entrance originating at Alpine Road, which leads to an occupied staff residence seen in the center of the property, as well as 2 gated entries from Los Trancos Road. Since its ownership was transferred to Midpen in 2011, the Hawthorns area has been closed to the public. As a reminder, it is subject to a conservation easement held by the Peninsula Open Space Trust, which seeks to protect the property's conservation values by establishing development parameters within which to provide public access. So as presented previously to the PNR, the purpose of the Hawthorns Area Plan is to provide a comprehensive blueprint for the Hawthorns area by prescribing long-term uses and resource management activities. And because the Hawthorns area is currently closed to the public, the area plan will also establish a pathway for opening the property to public access. There's a 5-step planning process to develop the Hawthorns Area Plan. Phase 1 involved setting the vision and goals. This started in 2021 and was completed on March 23rd, 2022, when the board adopted the vision and goals for the project. We've since been in phase 2, which sought to characterize existing conditions and evaluate site opportunities and constraints. As Tina mentioned, we'll be presenting a body of work associated with this phase shortly. In phase 3, we will develop a program and conceptual site plan alternatives for the property. This phase will also involve convening a public access working group, which we'll touch on extensively during this presentation. Phase 4 will pull all of the information from the previous phases into a comprehensive area plan that, with board approval, will advance into the environmental review phase. The project will then move into implementation as part of phase 5 when we develop design plans and begin coordination with the town of Portola Valley on permitting. We'll revisit this table throughout the presentation as we dive into more detail on phases 2 and 3. But before we do that, we'll briefly review the project vision and goals. So this is the board approved vision for the Hawthorns area. And in the interest of time, I won't read it for you here, but feel free to reference it if needed. Here are the 6 board approved goals for the Hawthorns area. The topic areas include natural resources, public access, local and regional connectivity, natural and cultural history, aesthetics, and operations and maintenance. And these goals carry through the entire planning process outlined previously. Before we continue on to phase 2, are there any questions on the information presented thus far? Okay. So now I'll shift gears to the second project phase, existing conditions, opportunities, and constraints. The goals of the existing conditions, opportunities, and constraints phase were to firstly characterize existing resources at the Hawthorns area through data collection and technical studies, And secondly, to establish parameters for resource and land management, public access, and operations and maintenance. This phase also included conducting public and stakeholder engagement. The outcomes of this project phase, including the suite of technical studies conducted, are synthesized in an existing conditions, opportunities, and report, which is attachment 1 in your packet. The topic areas of this report are depicted here, and I'll now dive into the key takeaways of each section in the next series of slides. So the key natural resources opportunities include the range of habitat that the Hawthorns area offers for a variety of native and special status wildlife, as well as habitat connectivity and other ecological benefits. Key natural resources constraints include introduced and invasive species, the potential impact of increased human presence, and constrained wildlife movement. Key public access opportunities include recreational access for a range of trail users, an internal trail system, driveway access, on-site parking, multimodal access, as well as interpretation, environmental education, and public engagement opportunities. Key constraints include the property's inherently steep topography, natural and cultural resources, line of sight limitations, trail use conflicts, traffic, and infrastructure that is required, and as well as additional amenities. Key local and regional connectivity opportunities include potential connections to the local trail network, as well as a potential reduction of user conflicts and safety concerns from the future widening and realignment of the Alpine Trail. Key constraints include access rights necessary to close existing gaps in regional trail networks, as well as concerns from adjacent neighbors that may potentially arise. Historic and cultural resource opportunities include interpretive and educational elements, as well as partnerships and consultations with tribal representatives. Key historic and cultural constraints include the risk of degradation, damage, and/or removal of sensitive resources, as well as safety concerns associated with the Hawthorns Historic Complex that preclude public access. I'd like to just note here that the Hawthorns Area Plan does not include the portion of the property encompassing the historic complex, as that is a separate project undergoing a distinct planning process. Key aesthetic opportunities include panoramic views, the scenic landscapes and grassy hilltops of the Hawthorns area, which really are beautiful, as well as a few key constraints, which include privacy concerns for existing landowners and private view sheds, as well as its location within the Alpine Scenic Corridor. The key operations and maintenance opportunities include grazing and time mowing to control invasive plants, as well as fire danger. And key opportunities and maintenance constraints include the location within the wildland-urban interface, increased staffing needs, and the cumulative impacts of increased traffic. All of the public access constraints identified in the report are aggregated here in map form. This format allows us to see that there are resource considerations throughout the property that affect parking and trail access. Notably, you can see that the topography is steep with high exposed points in the center of the site, with views of the mountain range and the bay and a flat wooded riparian area along Los Trancos Creek to the east. In addition, you'll note an outline of 2 areas spelled out by the conservation easement that run with the land. These areas, labeled improved and unimproved, begin to illustrate where parking facilities may be located, as the goal is to locate those services within the already improved areas of the site. Aesthetic considerations include views into and out of the property as seen with the purple shading, as well as the scenic corridor buffer along Alpine Road to the north. The area in peach denotes the historic complex, the longer term use of which is being evaluated as part of a separate project. So in summation, the Hawthorns area offers an opportunity to provide public access for a range of trail users and to highlight the property's scenic values. However, it is a small site with considerable constraints for public access, notably the steep topography, limited locations for parking and driveway access, and the need to balance public access objectives with natural and cultural resource management and aesthetic objectives. It is important to note that these opportunities and constraints occur within the context of the town and its own processes, as well as neighboring uses. So before I pass it over to Ashley to continue with the transportation study and the other deliverables from the existing conditions phase of the project, Are there any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Could you go back to the previous slide, please? Great. The one constraint that I was actually expecting to see was the easement that Post has over the property. And I understand that that's somewhat constraining. So I was just wondering either now or at some point during the presentation, could you comment on how that is that going to give us enough room, if you will, to do what we need to do? Or are we going to have to either work with Post, or is that going to make it very difficult to do to develop the uses that we have in mind?
Yeah, the conservation easement does prohibit some uses such as commercial grazing or additional development, but it does allow for low intensity recreational uses that are in alignment with the type of recreational opportunities that we provide at our other preserves. It also does allow for a parking area and other amenities and facilities that would sustain that public access. So I think the parameters that it provides, prohibit its use for purposes that Midpen wouldn't already want to do, if that makes sense.
Great. So it sounds like the answer is no. Yeah, we've got everything we need from an easement point of view to do what we need to do. Is that?
And we've also been working with Post on some of the language that's in the easement to ensure that we're interpreting it correctly. And
Great.
We've been in communications with them.
Perfect. Thank you.
There are no other questions. I'll pass it on to Ashley.
Good afternoon, Ashley Mack, Planner 3. Thank you, Ari. I will touch on the second scope of work associated with the existing conditions, opportunities, and constraints phase, the transportation study, which is ongoing. In July of 2022, the board approved the contract for pre-seed transportation consulting to initiate transportation study services for the Hawthorne area with the goal of documenting existing transportation conditions, evaluating driveway locations for the future parking area, and estimating future use for the amount of parking spaces needed at the site. To date, the transportation consultant team has completed data collections and background review on visitation counts, traffic, and collision counts, a driveway feasibility study, and syntheses of relevant town plans and policies. Their findings are synthesized in this memo, which documents the existing traffic, transportation, and circulation conditions surrounding the site. The existing transportation condition memo has a few takeaways. As you can see, first, average daily traffic volume along Alpine Road is below capacity, which means weekday peaks occurring around commute times and weekend peaks occurring in the late morning to midday. Secondly, multimodal access surrounding the Hawthorne area currently consists of 2 SamTrans routes, which provide a school-oriented schedule, as well as bicycle, equestrian, and pedestrian use on adjacent trails and roadways. Moreover, assessments reveal that due to the curvature of the road, Los Trancos Road does not meet Caltrans line of sight standards for a commercial type of driveway. Caltrans standards are typically used by many jurisdictions, including Midpen, to inform the design and placement for parking area entryways. In contrast, Alpine Road does offer adequate line of sight, therefore is recommended entry point for future public access by our transportation consultant. If a driveway were to be considered off Los Trancos Road, discussions would be required with the appropriate permitting jurisdiction agencies to confirm whether a driveway off the road is viable, given the property fronts Alpine Road, which does provide adequate line of sight. In addition, there may be other considerations preclude Los Trancos Road, including the final location and proximity to the preferred parking area location, and potential impact concerns to users and management of the Hawthorne's historic complex. In addition, it is recommended that any final design of the intersection should include analysis of any required adjustment to required stopping and intersection line of sight based on the grade of Alpine Road. I'm going to pause here. Any questions for the transportation conditions memo? Great. So we will now move into the third deliverable, public access framework. The purpose of the public access framework is to inform, frame, and guide the upcoming programming conceptual planning phase of the future public access working group. It encompasses natural, cultural, and aesthetic resource management actions, public access considerations, and ongoing operations and maintenance needs. There are a number of overarching considerations that underpin the framework. This include diversity, equity, and inclusion, accessibility, climate change, financial sustainability, natural resource protection, and the district's mission and the board approved vision and goals for the Hawthorne's area. Based on the goals of the public access framework, the study is organized into the topic areas seen here, and we will dive into them in the following slides. This information is directly from the public access framework. And you can see that the key natural resources considerations include minimize impacts to vegetation communities and wildlife habitat, site future public access way away from the Los Troncos Road, and fire management. Also, in terms of cultural resources, it's important to avoid impact to any areas with cultural resource sensitivity and conduct tribal consultations as appropriate. Moreover, restrict public access to the historic complex area until long-term use of the structures has been determined, and ensure future use of the structures is compatible with public access and other land resource management considerations. In terms of the aesthetic resources, key considerations are protect the view sheds of the highlight key vista points. Also minimize any impact on the view shed of Alpine Road. In terms of public access considerations, it is important to consider different user groups' perspectives, seek trail alignment opportunities for both internal trail system and regional trail connectivity. In addition, develop driveway access and on-site parking area. With these improvements to the site, keep in mind to minimize impact to natural and cultural resources, as well as impact to adjacent roadways and neighbors. In terms of site amenities, provide benches at vista points, toilet at parking area, and wayfinding signs throughout the site. When it comes to operations and maintenance needs, there are identified key considerations, including restrictions set by the conservation easement, as we talked about earlier, prioritize the use of existing roads, maintain site security, and meet public safety objectives. So that concludes the existing conditions, opportunities, and constraints of the presentation. Before I pass it over to Tina, is there any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your presentation. It's very thorough. The one is, if you could go back to the parking, because gosh, if there's one thing that we continue to struggle as parking, and I know that with Windy Hill, we've got huge parking issues out there, and that it's very popular, and there's not as big of a parking area that I think Portola Valley and others would like. So I just was wondering, how are we, how to phrase this question.
you know, we want a lot that is big enough, but not too big. And we want to be able to somehow serve those that want to use the preserve and not be a parking area for cyclists that want to do the loop, if you know what I mean. And I know it's tough to control that, but parking is something we're still learning how to do. And I was just wondering, how's that all being factored in? Because I think it's going to be a tough one for this area.
Thank you for the question, Director Riffle. Tina Hug, Senior Planner. We are still learning, as you said. I don't think anyone has solved the parking situation, whether it's us, county parks, state parks, or national parks. Those are all good questions. And we don't know what the right number of parking spaces is. Oftentimes it's as much as you can fit because of demand.
Right.
So we don't know what the demand is going to be at this particular area. And I think we've mentioned it before, and it depends on the use that's offered at the site. If it's a local trail, like local to the site, or whether it connects. If it connects, we are changing the equation. We're changing the demand.
Right.
So we don't have an answer for you today,
No,
but it is definitely top of mind on all of our public access projects where there's never enough parking.
Yeah.
And there's always a demand for open space.
Yeah. And just a quick follow on. I know we're learning from Rancho San Antonio, and we're about to learn from Purisima, and the multimodal. I guess I'm assuming, did I see that in here? I'm assuming that's also going to be included in this.
Yes, on all our projects, we've incorporated or are thinking about multimodal opportunities. As you probably know, each site, each location, each jurisdiction is a little different in what it could be feasible or functional. Oftentimes, for example, Rancho's solutions may not work at Purisima nor at Windy Hill Hawthorns. So we try to look at opportunities that actually fit that site and the location and the jurisdiction that it's in. And not all of them will work. And I will say that a lot of the TDM, the transportation demand management strategies that we're exploring right now, are in their nascent stages. We don't know. We're just learning which ones work and how to make them work better.
Right.
And so I think this project will learn from what we learn at Rancho and at Purisima, depending on what is implemented at those two preserves.
Great.
But we think about that a lot, about how we can address this. It's an ongoing issue everywhere. Every project I work on, it's top of mind, parking and traffic.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I just a quick follow on as I attended some of the public sessions, and the whole parking thing came up again and again and again. So thank you for your answer. I wasn't expecting an answer tonight, but it sounds like we're thinking about all the right things at this point. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Director Holman.
Yes, thank you. And just a couple of broad brush things. There had been mention previously of off-site parking collaborative or collaborations. Is that still on the table?
Yes, it's early days for conversations to explore yet, but that would be one of the opportunities we would look at to see what parking lots might be available during the weekend. That's usually the peak time. This is a transportation demand management strategy that's being explored at Rancho. So we haven't had that opportunity yet, but that would be something we would want to keep in our toolbox. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. And then, excuse me, and then the other thing is, about as much parking as we can fit is still not enough. And yet, of course, as you well know, I'm stating the obvious here, it's a balance of also not impacting the natural environment here and the asset that we have. But the other thing that goes along with that is, I know there's a lot of concern, and I'm presuming this will be conveyed to the working group. There's a lot of concern about traffic, especially in situations of fire danger and fire exit kind of aspects. So I'm presuming that all of that will be brought forward to the working group.
Yes, it's also in the existing conditions and opportunities and constraints phase, but, or the report itself. It's traffic, it's impact to neighborhoods because as we know from experience, the parking and the traffic kind of spills out into the neighborhoods. And it's a sort of an ongoing situation that needs to be addressed.
Right, exactly. So, we're so popular. It's a good thing. And it also brings with it real challenges. So thank you a lot, Tina.
Yes. Quick question while we're on the topic of parking. It did occur to me as I was looking at the trail network or possible trail network that whatever we do at the Hawthorns is going to increase the demand for parking up top on Skyline. So is that part of the planning for this now, is to think too about what parking we have up top at Windy Hill?
No, this project is not looking at the effect on Windy Hill up top. Right now, we're focused the local impact, because the thought is that the Hawthorns area right now is island unto itself. And then again, it depends on what the trail system actually does and what need this serves, this particular site. So Hawthorns, in the way that it's the landscape is laid out, the trail can stay within itself and become a different experience than Windy Hill. Windy Hill is the big hikes, the ones where you go for hours. Hawthorns may not be that at all, may not serve that function at all. It may be a quick afternoon, evening, after dinner walk, or a quick morning stroll, because it is completely different. It just doesn't connect at this point in time. And it can stay that way, and it will affect, like I said, the demand for that particular preserve.
I guess I'd just like to put a pin in the thought, because if we look at Prisma Creek, for example, I know they're different, but there's no parking on either end for Prisma Creek, really. But there are people that do that through and want to park up top. And anyway, it just occurs to me that whatever we do at Hawthorns will most likely create additional demand for parking at the top of at Skyline. So
Yeah,
something to
we're
consider moving forward.
Yes, we are aware that Hawthorns itself will have an effect on Windy Hill and vice versa. And that there may be people who want to who park at Windy Hill and go to Hawthorns, or that type of situation. The two are linked and also not quite the same. So we don't quite know what the effect will be at the top. In terms of driving, it's quite a distance around to get to that side, but that doesn't mean that someone might go there and come down.
Yeah, on a
Once
bike.
Highway 84 opens.
Yeah. Right. Thank you.
All right. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
we are going to move into the Public Access Working Group, and here we go. We are now moving into the programming and conceptual planning phase. This is phase 3. So you've seen phase 1, phase 2 are in the process of being completed. And so phase 3 is going to lead eventually into the area plan and environmental review. So we're a little ways away from the actual area plan. Then all these components are going to coalesce into an area plan towards the end, so that we have a project that goes into environmental review. So we're early days yet. We're in the middle. But this is the phase that we're going to focus on tonight and in the next year. It's going to have the following objectives. It's looking at parking and trails, as we have explained. We're looking at creating a conceptual plan that eventually becomes the preferred alternative for CEQA. We are convening a public access working group, and we are going to hire a design team to help with the conceptual planning. And of course, we are going to continue with public engagement. We've spoken a lot about the Public Access Working Group, or the POG. This one is also modeled after the La Honda POG that occurred several years ago. Like the La Honda POG, this group will assist the project team in finding trailhead and parking options, although in this case, we're moving a little bit further into conceptual planning, which we hadn't done before with the La Honda POG. and they will be working with a design team and us, of course. This design team will be procured during a request for a proposal process that's currently underway. I'm going to now dive into the purpose and composition and format of the working group. There's a lot here, so please feel free to stop me if you don't understand something I'm saying. The working group is meant to be a forum where people can bring different perspectives to the table and to help Midpen, the district, bring public access to the Hawthorns area in a way that meets the board's vision and goals for the project and our mission in general. The working group is going to look at different components of public access, again, as to where to put the parking area, the entrances, how to provide the trails through the site, whether or not to connect to existing trails around the site, what uses the trails should support. And these are all within the considerations that Ari and Ashley presented to you just in the beginning of this presentation. So the existing conditions, opportunities and constraints report, and the public access framework. The design team will work on developing conceptual alternatives with the working group and with us. They'll be presented to the PNR with a goal, again, of achieving a preferred alternative that is ultimately reviewed and approved by the board. And that preferred alternative would be incorporated into a Hawthorns area plan. So right now we don't have the plan, we have the components of a plan, and that we would then go into environmental review phase. When we presented the proposed composition and formation process to the PNR last month, the committee had feedback on the number of stakeholders, where they would reside, what perspectives they would represent. And they also discussed the application review process for the interest area representatives, which is the name we're calling the working group members for the PNR committee members. We used to call them working group members, and now interest area representatives, to make sure that it's more specific as to their name. I will say that the PNR's feedback is incorporated into the current proposed composition and recruitment strategy that I'm about to talk about in the next slides. This is a table of the all of the working group members. Again, I mentioned there's the changes in the ward stakeholders. There was a robust discussion among the PNR members, and it is a discussion topic and a decision for the board tonight. And the number of ward stakeholders will influence the number of interest area representatives. The proposed composition includes either 9 or 13 voting members and 3 non-voting members. The voting members are the ward stakeholders, and they represent regional perspectives balanced with ward and local interests, as General Manager Reeves mentioned in her opening remarks. The other voting members are the interest area representatives, and these represent a number of perspectives, including the ones you see on the slide in the middle: local community interests, neighborhoods, safe routes to school, local and regional trail connections, resource conservation, recreational uses, and interpretation education. The 3 non-voting members are at the bottom. This is the board liaison, the town liaison, and a meeting facilitator. Both the board liaison and the town liaison are representing the district and the town's interests respectively, and providing information to the working group specific to the organization they represent. We're going to go into the recruitment process in more detail in the next slides and discuss further the number of ward stakeholders and the interested area representatives. So we don't have to discuss that now, but do you have any questions with regard to the type of members and the representation shown here in this table?
I do have one. Let's see, on your interest groups, I didn't see diverse groups in there, diversity represented. I was just thinking that maybe we could think about outreach to Latina Outdoors, Vida Verde, groups that aren't neighborhood, or is that not what you wanted? Did you want neighborhood people?
This is a mix of both community members, neighborhood, and it could be others from outside the area.
Well, in our district, of course, but maybe one more bullet, and I don't know how to say it, but reach out to lower income groups. Does it make sense?
You're asking us to outreach for a prospective candidates or interests in those groups, or
Yeah.
are you asking that perspective to be added to this as well?
Oh, I don't see the difference.
Um, I guess by putting it in this list, it is an interest area that is, so we have diverse DEI
Yes.
already in the public access framework as one of the baseline
Sure.
conditions. Putting it in here makes it a very specific element for this project. So it takes it out of sort of the general baseline, but makes it very a topic area of specific importance to this project.
Okay, I don't need it mentioned so long as it's considered.
Yes. Yeah, can do that.
When you did the Bay Trail down at Ravenswood, did the community must have gotten involved with that project.
Yes, community got involved
Yeah.
there.
So, I just thinking, I mean, they're in our district,
Mhm.
so that's kind of outreach. But it doesn't have to be mentioned so long as it's considered.
Okay, we'll speak internally to consider how to recruit.
Thank you.
Let's see. Oh, if I could do a little follow-up on that. Yes, I guess it can be a little confusing where, I mean, like whether it would become like a criteria when when the board or staff, whoever's doing the sorting.
Mhm.
Yes, I mean, and I imagine your staff is going to prepare like some kind of a draft, either list of criteria or checklist or something. Is that right? And
We have
so-
a criteria form as
yeah,
well. Yeah. and an
So,
application
so you're saying that DEI is already on that list?
It's a baseline consideration. It's sort of a district-wide consideration. So if that is of note in an individual, it would be in a comment that the person has a DEI experience or some aspect where they have that
I say.
quality, if
Mhm.
you will. We don't have it. I mean, we certainly can. We can pull it out, but we're trying to make it part of our ethos, if you will. It is part of who we are, and so it is built in.
Right. I see. Okay. Yeah.
We're trying to get it
Yeah.
built in.
No, it's hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know if this is the right time, but I was reading your requirements for the people. I was wondering, it did say meeting schedule. It said 5 to 7 meetings every 6 to 8 weeks. And I was wondering if that really meant 5 to 7 meetings, one every 6 to 8 weeks.
Yes, it means, yes,
Yeah.
not 5
As
to 7
opposed to
meetings
50
every,
meetings.
yeah, yes, that is what it means.
I was like, I read.
That
it
would
to
kill
me,
us
yeah.
as staff.
I
So
think the
yes,
word one would help.
one
the-
every, okay, we can make
one
that
every 6 to 8
modification.
week. Yeah.
One
big
every.
commitment.
Okay.
And for our questionnaire, maybe just add time availability as a question. Do you have the time to do this?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, you mentioned that the number of district ward stakeholders would impact the interest area representatives. So does that mean that if the district ward stakeholders goes to 7, then the interest area representatives goes to 6?
Yes, our intention is to try to get a body that is not an even number, but an odd number, so that when it comes to decision making, we don't inadvertently get an impasse where we have an even split, and then we don't have a deciding vote. So
Right. And then I think the original idea was that this could be smaller than the Honda group because the area is smaller. Do you see big pros and cons in having the larger group or the smaller group?
I will say that when I worked with the prior district clerk, she did have a floor for me, and it was around 11 or 13 individuals. So we're right at the, did I say floor? I meant ceiling. But she did say that this number is, she would probably tell me is about as big as you want to get it before it becomes a little more unwieldy. It certainly can be bigger. I know people in this room who've run bigger working groups. She's sitting right over there, or my manager. But in our case, it is a little more nimble to have this number, I think LaHonda was 11. So we have 2 more with the 13. If you're starting to get into 15, 17, it becomes harder. You get more administrative, and it becomes a bigger beast to move around. Especially for LaHonda, we were actually doing tours. So we had to take people in vans, and it was a thing. That it was a thing. So that's a technical term.
Is that it? Okay, Director Riffle?
Yeah, kind of, but just 2 clarifying questions. In the staff report, I didn't quite understand the 4 versus 7. So will we get into that later, or do you want to clarify?
We will.
Okay.
We will get into that later.
Okay, thanks. And then the difference between board appointment for the stakeholders versus application and board selection. I get the board appointment, but application and board selection, what does that mean again?
Is this under ward stakeholders or under
Interest area representative?
We're getting to the next
application
slide.
boards.
It's on the next slide.
Oh.
I can move to that slide when the rest of the board's ready, and then we can go into it.
I see. Okay, yeah, I'll wait for the next slide too.
Okay. Oh, there's that. Apologies. Director Holman.
Oh,
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure if this is the right time for the question or not. But how did it work with LaHonda? Because let's just say if the meetings are on Tuesday evenings, that might preclude somebody from being able to even apply. But was the day of the week indicated, or did the group decide when it was going to meet, and a common availability was determined? How did that work with LaHonda?
We made an educated guess that I think it was Thursdays were people were more available. And then when we've had the first meeting, we asked, and they looked at the schedule, and everyone checked their calendars to see if there were any conflicts, because one of the things that's in the procedural guide is you can't miss too many of these. I think you can only miss 2. And one of the reasons why we have that is because these meetings are so packed with information that if you miss one, you've missed quite a bit. And it's very difficult to do makeup efforts because we're usually preparing for the next meeting. So that's how we scheduled it with the LaHonda working group. In this case, I will say that there are we are trying to work around the town of Portola Valley's various commissions, committee, and council meetings. There are quite a few, and we will try to work around them to the extent we can, because we know there are people who are interested in attending those, and they would be in conflict. We also haven't. Some of the meetings will have to be in the daytime. For example, when we do a site tour, or we're looking at something on site, or if it makes sense to have it in working hours. So that's another aspect of this. And so we will have to ask the working group. We also know that there's probably some limited. We're bookended by a number of factors, and one actually quite a significant one is people's availability on specific days over and over again. So if we can get them in their calendars sooner rather than later, we have a stronger chance of them being available and working around them for their year.
Absolutely. And last question is, I don't recall that with LaHonda we had an alternate. Did we? I don't think we did.
No, we didn't, because the alternate would also need to attend the meeting.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So they would it would grow the group to twice its size or so. Or
just one alternate. I was just thinking, if for some reason or other somebody had to drop out, then there was somebody else who had been attending the meetings that could participate. But if we didn't do that for LaHonda, it probably isn't necessary here either. Thank you, Tina, very much.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Are you going to talk in the next this next one about who's going to choose the chair, et cetera,
of the working group?
Mm-hmm.
No, I wasn't going into the details of the operations, but I can answer that question. We learned from the prior experience that the selection of in this case, we're doing co-chairs, not chair and vice chair, but co-chair, so that we realized, learning from Lahana, that it's a lot of work for the chairs. And so that one person was very impacted. And so having two helps spread the load. Because the co-chair works with us on meeting agendas and a number of things. So one of that was one lesson learned. The second lesson learned was don't ask them to select anyone before they know each other. So we asked them to choose before they even know who each other were. And that was the feedback they gave us, and said, can you let us meet a couple times before you ask us to select a co-chair, because we've just met. So that was a good lesson learned. So it wouldn't be until probably after the second meeting, where in the second meeting, I think, the way we usually work it is the first meeting is orientation, get to know the project, us, it's probably here. So it's a little more comfortable. We can do projections and so forth. And the second one's on site, showing people around, they get to chit chat as they walk around, they get to know each other, et cetera. So hopefully by the third meeting, they're able to choose somebody. So with that, I'll go to the next slide and the recruitment process. Okay, here it is, blank. So it is different between the two stakeholders, stakeholders and the area representatives. So I'm going to start with the ward stakeholders. There are two options. The first one is the simplest one and this is following the Lahonda model. Every director offers up a candidate and they're automatically appointed by the board. And in this case, there would be 7. And in this case, there would be then 6 interest area representatives to keep the numbers odd number. That sound right. Option 2 is 4 stakeholders. And I will say that the 4 stakeholders, this was a revised version of an option that went to the PNR. And so it's not quite the same as what we showed to the PNR. This is where, in the interest of allowing all of the directors to be able to nominate a candidate, but then to keep the numbers down, all the directors would nominate a candidate. The directors would rank all the candidates, and using that application form and the criteria form as interest area representatives, and the top 4 candidates would be appointed as ward stakeholders. So this one takes a little bit more administrative efforts on both your side and our side. And it is also a little bit more effort for the stakeholder themselves, because they have to fill out the application form, because that person will not necessarily be known to all of you. So they will have to fill out their characteristics or qualifications, et cetera, the same as the interest area representatives. And those are the 2 options that we have. Excuse me. Oh. Those are the 2 options we have, and it really comes down to a preference of how many ward stakeholders the board would like on the working group, and if 4 stakeholders are selected, is the process that we've outlined is that what the board prefers. We can think of something else or receive feedback on that.
We have a question.
So Tina, I'm curious about this 4 ward stakeholders concept. Did this come as a recommendation from the Lahonda group? And was there some reason that we needed to have, was there a problem having a representative from each ward?
No, not at all. It was mainly tailored to the size of the project, the size of the site, and thinking that if this was a smaller effort, maybe it is a smaller group. And so there originally the idea was 2 stakeholders from San Mateo County, 2 from Santa Clara County, and then you'd have 5 interest area representatives. We received feedback from the PNR that it would be better for the board to discuss that and determine whether that is an approach that we want to follow. This is just a little bit different because the project's a little bit different. And initially we were thinking, well, maybe this project can go with a slightly smaller working group because La Honda was big. 7 ward stakeholders here would make it bigger, but they're not extraordinarily bigger than what we've done for La Honda, that we did for La Honda.
One thing too, and this is Honor Ruiz, General Manager. Hawthorne's is a much smaller property, and it's perhaps doesn't carry the same regional draw, maybe, as La Honda. I don't know. You know, it's that remains to be totally seen. But if the board is concerned about the ability to recruit a someone that they know, or you know, specifically if it's from their ward, for this working group, then maybe bringing it down to 4 might be more manageable. That's a consideration of yours again, but the board, you know, it's your discretion who you select, and where they live and where they come from, as long as they're within the district. But that did come up as a discussion and question item with the committee.
So, go ahead,
I
please.
just want to clarify one thing is there, as for La Honda, we didn't place a restriction on where the ward stakeholders came from. And the reason was because we have no control over the professional and personal relationships that the board members have developed over time. And the people that you know, who know you and know the district, may not necessarily reside in the jurisdiction. It may just be in San Bruno, if you will. But because you've known them for 25 years, they know who you are, and they know your ward, and they know what you need them to represent. We took that restriction off because we realized it would further, it is very difficult to find, it would be very difficult to tell any one of you, you must find someone that you know very well in your ward, that, you know, you've had a deep relationship with, it knows how to represent your ward, et cetera, et cetera. It would be a difficult thing to impose upon the board, I think, because we don't know your breadth of relationships that you have.
Is that it? Well, if I could just make an opinion, I'd either like to see us have all 7, or I am sensitive to the fact that there's only 2 of us from San Mateo County on the board. So having some assurance that at least 2, if we move to the smaller number, are from San Mateo County. Did I say Santa Clara County? I meant San Mateo County. So that would just be my thought, that if we move to 4, and I can see a value in having a smaller group, I would like to make sure that 2 of those 4 are from San Mateo County.
Okay, let's see, Director Gleason, and then I'll go to Director Holman.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to the general manager's comment. In the PNR committee meeting where we talked about this, I think probably I was the one who brought up this comment, just saying that it is a smaller place and maybe there's, you know, more sort of local interest. The comment I made was I might be able to pick somebody who could have more direct interest and impact for that group if I was picking somebody from that ward, the other ward, not my ward. But having said that, I think there are people who in all the wards who are very interested, and I've had some further discussions since then, for example, with some folks from Audubon Society, and you know, who would be spread out in many places, and I know they're very interested in Hawthorne's. So I don't think there's a problem. Also, I think the general manager at the beginning of this discussion made a pretty convincing statement about why there's regional interest in Hawthorne's. So I don't think there's a problem, you know, if we went down the path of, you know, either each director nominating a candidate or having one from all 7. I don't see that as a problem on its own. So I would also second what Director Christine Tucker said. I think it does make sense to make sure the San Mateo County representation is there.
Yes, Director Holman.
Yeah, just quickly. I was a little surprised because maybe my memory is bad, but I was thinking if the board chooses to go with option 2, I was thinking that the interest area representatives would be 7, because option 1 is a 13-member group, and option 2 is only a 9-member, and that's pretty small, it seems to me. So that's a question. Was 5 really the number that we landed on at PNR?
Yeah, we didn't, the PNR didn't change the number of the area representatives at the time. With the focus of the conversation was the ward stakeholders. And so when we wrote the proposal, this is when we increased the number.
Yeah, it seems to me like if the board chooses to go with option 2, it seems like that the area, I keep wanting to reverse that. The interest area representative should be 7. So that would be a group of 11 as opposed to option 1, which would be a group of 13. 9 seems pretty small.
Mhm. Okay, well, so did you want us to do a straw? Okay, yeah, I'll go to you, but I was just gonna just make a question or comment about this process. Are we gonna take a straw poll or vote on each item, right?
Yes, and if
these-
there's I think if there's another option that's being proposed, I think it would be useful for the board to do a straw poll that it's at your
if there's
pleasure.
an alternative, you mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we've heard one, but let me go to Director Sear.
Thank you. I was thinking that in the question of area representatives, one of the issues in my mind when we first were looking at La Honda was the fact that the local area had extremely high interest. And I wanted to make sure that that was at least balanced a little bit by people who were way outside the area, but well within the district, so that we represented a sense of the entire district. And I imagine the same sort of situation that made you here present itself here, in that Hawthorne's is so close to Portola Valley and obviously is of real high interest to the folks locally. And
Yeah,
I think that's an important interest, but it's
important. balance.
also, I think, important to at least have a couple of folks involved in this whose primary focus is another part of the district and can bring that perspective. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Yeah, one comment I have is it maybe kind of the timing between these two, well, between the ward appointments and the general, what do you call it, the special interest. So like, for example, I guess the board directors could choose first and make that known, so that if you're not chosen, if you're not chosen by one of the board directors, then you can put your hat in for the general recruitment, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, so the ward stakeholders, the names come to us, is it a week or two before? No, I believe it's a couple weeks before the interest area representative applications are coming in.
Okay.
Because
right.
June 11th is when those applications would be due,
I see. Okay.
if I remember correctly. Oh. Do I have it? Oh, yes, we do have a whole slide deck for that. But this is the interview selection process. On the next steps, we have a bit of a timeline.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's a lag in between. Yes.
Okay, very good. Yeah. Director Ripple.
Just a question. Did you want comments now so that we could vote or do a straw poll, or Tina, or because I've got some comments, but I've been kind of holding off until we get to that point.
Maybe we should look at I was going to say, maybe we should look also at the interest area representative, the application
Okay.
recruitment process, and then you combine all of your comments. That way it's comprehensive, and that one might influence the other potentially.
Mhm.
Sure, good.
Okay.
Because I served on the La Honda Creek
Yes.
Public Access Working Group, so I want to share my perspectives on that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
thanks.
All right, I will go through the interest area representative, and then we can come back to the discussion for both groups. So the interest area representatives, the question here really surrounded application review and how to select people to interview. we have 3 scenarios and they are based on the number of applications that we receive. And the goal is to consider time and resources, because if you think about 15-minute interviews, 10 candidates result in 150 minutes, which is 2.5 hours. Plus there's probably time on either end for just preparation and then debrief and so forth. So you're talking about 3 to 4 hour meeting. So just bear that in mind. And this is the context for these scenarios. So scenario 1 assumes we have 10 or less applications. And that means in this case, we would provide the applications to the board, and the board could interview all the applicants because the number is relatively small. Scenario 2 assumes we receive 11 to 15 applications. And in this case, the board would review all the applications again, select their top 10. And this would require ranking, and which would require them coming into the district clerk and then tabulating the top 10 applicants who received the most tallies, the most votes, and those would be invited to interview with the board. Scenario 3, sorry, I hadn't moved to advance that. Scenario 3 is if we have more than 15 applications. In this case, there's quite a few, and there's the general manager here would notify the board president of the need to form an ad hoc committee. And that would be tonight, you would be authorizing the general manager to do that if the number of applications deemed it so. So in this case, 3 board members would then be formed, would form the ad hoc committee, and they would review the applications, and then they would invite 10 applications to interview with the full board. So these were the 3 scenarios that we had come up with, not knowing how much interest and not knowing how many applications we were going to receive. This is very similar to La Honda, although I think La Honda might have had just 2 scenarios, and so it might be a little bit different here. Just want to make sure before I return back.
Just a quick question. How many did we have? How many applicants did we have for La Honda? Remember? Was it more than 10?
I think it was 10.
It was about 10, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because what happened is 2 were selected as ward stakeholders, 2 came out. So they were applied, but then the Director Hassett picked them as his ward stakeholders. And La Honda directors may recall there were 2 stakeholders for Director Hassett's ward. So it was a little different there.
And why did you decide that at 15, there would be an ad hoc committee as opposed to just, regardless of how many applications, the board of directors would pick their top 10 and then we'd figure it out from there? Why go to an ad hoc at 15?
There was a desire to limit, this was a suggestion from the PNR to limit the amount of effort from the full board to review all the applications to kind of help the review process. So that was a proposal. If I understood your question correctly.
Thank you.
Did you want our feedback now?
Yeah, because I think the recruitment process will not be affected by the discussion about the
Yeah,
stakeholders.
I think there seems to be general nodding of heads that makes sense. So
I guess I'm not so sure about option 3 with the 15 or more requiring an ad hoc. Is that what we're talking about now?
I was going back to, I'm sorry, I can go back to that slide.
Sorry.
The 3-step process. Yeah, the 3
let me go back.
choices. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
I don't see a need for scenario 3, frankly. I mean, if we got that many applications, I'd like to see them. I'd like to know who's applying and.
That you would prefer the scenario 2 process that each director would choose their top 10.
Yeah, if we get 15, if we get 20.
How would it work if, say, we got out of 19 bicyclist people and 1 ecology person? I don't see that we need, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, can we get the interest groups, that list that you had a list, right? balance it out that way. There were 7 areas, I think. Maybe we just choose one person from each area. I don't know, just a thought. Because I do fear that we're going to get mostly bicyclist people. I think it's going to be a very popular biking destination. I don't fear. I just feel that it's going to happen that way.
Right, you want more broader representation.
Pardon?
You would like
We would
broader
prefer, I would prefer broader
Wow.
representation.
Well, I think it's board members can help to recruit applicants.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But we have no control over who comes in and fills out a questionnaire.
Mhm. Yeah, it's so, okay, so we have an alternate idea for more than 15 applications, and
Look at
I-
them all.
yeah, I'm open to either. I mean,
We don't
in some
have to
ways,
interview them.
in some ways I'd prefer the ad hoc committee, I suppose, but I could go with either.
To me, it just creates more staff work. So, do we really need the staff the staff,
Oh.
an ad hoc committee
Oh, yeah.
for this?
I don't think it requires any staff report. I mean, it would be the 3 board members. The 3, yeah, it's just the 3. Oh, you mean to convene them? Okay.
Excuse me, you have more things involved in the step. If a subcommittee is significant,
Mhm.
then yeah, we ought to be a subcommittee, but I'm just not sure I'm vacillating. I like what as McGibbon was saying about somehow looking not simply for somebody who physically resides in area X or Y, but whose interest would be some facet of what we're trying to, some of the goals we have for that preserve.
Mhm.
And I'm not quite sure how to have that work, but I'm leaning more in that direction than just sort of, I'm coming from a ward that has very little to zero open space, but has a high interest. And, but I'm also looking at the array of elements of concern that we're trying to incorporate into this working group.
Mhm.
And I'm not quite sure how to do that. But
Yeah,
that's
Tina,
where I'm leaning.
yeah. So is staff counting on each board member to look at all the applications and picking their portfolio of diverse community interests, is that right? Rather than saying, pick one person for the bike group or pick one person for hiking,
Yes, these, the interest areas, I'm going to switch back to that slide. It's not meant to be 7 individuals representing these 7 topic areas. The more hats people wear, I think the better the conversation will be.
Mhm.
So I think this is why we said may represent one or more the following perspectives, is because we expect people to have people are generally multifaceted
Mhm.
and they have different things they bring to the table. One of the things that staff has done in the past, and we had intended to do following the Lahana model, was we create a cover sheet, and a criteria that you will see is, we'll start listing some of these things as a summary of what we're seeing from the application, so that you have that as a guide. You read the application yourself, of course, but you have also the cover sheet, and there'll be notations with regard to, the area interests that the person has said on their application.
And the
for example.
application will also ask those questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, I think either selection process probably works. So, yes, Dr. Riffle?
Yeah, I too am fine with either one, but I wonder, what did the PNR committee recommend?
I think they recommended this. Yeah.
Is
Is this their PNR's recommendation? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. My recollection was that I think the original staff proposal was maybe a little more like what was done for the bond oversight committee, where there was if it was over a certain number, then the staff would reduce that to 10, or I'm not sure if that was the number. Originally, I was actually in favor of that option, and Director Holman and I guess Director Sear made some arguments for a different direction. I was, in the end, I was fine with this, but I'm not sure if. I mean, I guess maybe the biggest concern I had was just how many applications might you get, and I don't really have experience with that. If for Lahonda Creek it was 10, then maybe I'm not that concerned. I wasn't sure if we might have a situation where it was 50 or some very large number.
We received 8 from Lahonda. Someone checked for me.
Well,
We received 8.
8, okay. Well, to move this along, why don't I, yes, Director Holman, I forgot. So, but as Director Holman is speaking, maybe I'm going to ask for a motion, and we can just kind of vote and see if there's support for this alternative. So yes, Director Holman.
So yeah, where I was going also along those lines is to help move us along, and I'm going to piecemeal it so that we can hopefully make some progress in each area. So Tina, if you would go back to the criteria slide, the slide right prior to this one. So I would move that we, or composition, I would move that we approve the composition of the working group. And again, I'm just taking this one at a time so we can like move ahead and not conflate like one topic with another topic. So I move that we adopt approve the composition slide.
Which one?
Slide.
The quantity,
No, just the one slide that is up here right now. Just approve this one slide, and then we'll go to the next, topic.
Well, we can't approve it because we have to choose between 4 or 7.
Yeah.
No, because it says quantity 4 or 7, quantity 5 or 6.
I know, but we're not, we have to make a choice.
That is correct.
Not here. Here we don't, do we, Tina? We don't hear.
At this
we do.
meeting, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
At this meeting, yes.
Oh, at this meeting, yes, but on the composition,
Oh, yes.
we don't have to, because it has the latitude there under quantity.
Right. You mean by composition?
If you mean the composition being described in the first
representation.
column, but all the other columns, member representation, recruitment pathway, and voting member, that part.
Yeah, that we approve that.
Oh,
So the number is a different decision.
So Director Holman, you're saying approve
The
either
composition.
4 or 7, the first two columns you want to approve?
I believe it's the
No,
last 4 columns.
Last 4 columns.
the last 4 columns. And to me, it still seems like the first column has the flexibility, but if others don't see it that way, so I would move that we approve the composition, which would be columns 2 through 5. Just to kind of help us move along.
So I think if I may, Director Holman, you're asking whether the board has any questions about who's in the group, what the representations are, how they're recruited, and the voting members. And then you wish to talk about the number of those individuals or the groups later?
So, yeah.
Again, I'm just trying to get something ticked off that we have voted on and approved to help us move forward.
Well, Director Holman, I think we were pretty much agreed on the board liaison. I mean, that's kind of, I don't think there's any discussion about the board liaison, town liaison, meeting facilitation and such. And so I think the choices that we're talking about on this slide is 4 or 7 districts.
Yeah, and again, I was saying columns 2 through 5, so leave the quantity off.
Yeah, I don't think there's a need to do that. I mean, we've already adopted it.
We haven't adopted it.
Well, that's
that I'm aware of. Anyway, I'm just trying to get some progress here. So if others don't see it that way, that's fine.
President Kishimoto, we do have several virtual public comments on this item.
Okay. All right. Yes, let's go. Let's
would you
go
like to go to
yeah,
public
we'd like
comment?
to hear the comments before we vote on these. So yes.
Okay, these are all virtual, and first we will call on Rita Combs. And I'm going to pull up the slide first before we unmute her.
Are you going to change the slide or? Hi. Well, thank you. I'll start talking. Thank you for taking my time to listen to my comment. I live in the town of Portola Valley and excited about this project. And I noticed that a traffic study had been done. And there's a couple of things that are going on in our beautiful town. Everyone wants to come here for Windy Hill or to bike or to hike along the different trail systems that we have. And our trail committee in town is quite active and is part of any house that is built or considered being built in our town. And, you know, the Alpine Corridor is a beautiful corridor, and thank you for having it and some of the pictures of the trails in your pictures. It's a beautiful corridor, but I'm not sure if you're aware that with our RENER numbers, proposed housing, about 253 housing units are going to be built. I think all but 16 of them right along that corridor up to that spot there across from the Hawthorns. And so there's going to be, I know this is a long-term project, but we still have, I think, about 7 years on this RENA cycle. So all that construction is going to be happening right about that same time. And that area, that parking lot or entry on Alpine Road is where the children coming from Corte Madera will be walking to or from school. It was nice to see that in your requirements, you're looking for, you know, the safe school information, but the kids do cut through there and from Woodside Priory, walk down that trail on their way home or bike as part of that. And for transportation, we used to have, I think, 2 buses, but the bus service in Portola Valley, I think there's only 1 now. And there is no other public transportation in Portola Valley. This is going to be an absolute beautiful, beautiful site. And other people will want to go. And of course, there's no parking right over in that area. So thank you for thinking about how the bicyclists and possibly some commuters might use that space. And whenever that traffic study was done, you know, a lot of companies are asking for their employees to actually come to the office. And so the traffic has changed in the recent weeks, because that is a new thing that a lot of companies in the Bay Area are asking for employees to actually be in person at least 3 days a week. And so the traffic study that you did, depending on when it was done, may have to be re-examined. Thank you for listening to me. And this is really a beautiful project for our town, and people are very interested. So I hope that you put out the offer for town residents to be on this, because we care not just about our town, but all of the parks in the area. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your comments.
Next, we will have Christy Corley.
Hello, thank you for taking my comments. Are you able to hear me? Hello?
Hello, we do hear you. However, you are very quiet.
Okay, so I'll try to get the microphone here.
That's much better.
Okay, great. We are excited about this. I'm a resident of Portola Valley. I live on Alpine Road and within 2 blocks of the driveway that you're proposing. I'm excited about this walking area, as I did attend your last meeting and also go on your tour. I'm not sure the residents were able to, the tours filled up quite quickly, and there might be a need for more tours. I know that you may not like to hear that, but we're very interested in seeing the site, and I know a lot of my friends did not. So I am concerned the traffic study was done in 2022 versus 2023. So I'd like you to keep that in mind, that maybe we'll need to update that. And we do have an actual automobile reader or license plate reader that should be considered if it was not. I guess when will the Portola Valley residents see the results from the roundtable discussion that was done at Town Center? And that would be of interest to make sure that everybody's comments were heard, if we could see a summary of that. Let's see, I'm concerned about what happened during the meeting at 2:30, your last board meeting. I, in the middle, said a tree just went down. And as you know now, we had a death due to a tree falling down on Alpine Road. And I'm hoping that in the future, you would work with San Mateo County, where Alpine Road is, and any other trees in any other county that may have been falling towards San Mateo County, that you make sure that they are part of stakeholders in this discussion. And keep in mind that Wednesdays are town council and planning commission meetings, and they start at 7 o'clock. At one time you said that you would like public to be not on a committee in our town and get other residents. So I'm not clear what you're deciding there. So if you could clarify that. And I think you're going to find that you're going to have multiple residents filling out applications. And I talked to Carrie, who is from Portola Valley Communications, and I'm hoping that she can send out a link with the application so we can get a variety of interests. I hike, I run, I've been here 25 years. I feel like I'm invested. I go to almost every meeting. I know a lot about the town.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much for your comment. And
Our next public comment is from David Moss.
Hi there, this is David Moss. I am a former Palo Alto Parks and Rec Commissioner, been in Palo Alto for 45 years. And I have been involved with this, interested in this project all the way since the beginning in the 2020, 2021 timeframe. And I presented to the board back in 2018, my hike from Palo Alto to the sea. And I definitely am excited about having as one of the 6 key goals, local and regional trails connections. And I see a wonderful assortment of connections to Windy Hill and Coal Mine Ridge. But the difficult one is a connection to Arastradero Preserve or Foothills Preserve. And what's in the way are the very few residents between Los Troncos Creek and the entrance to and the border with the Arastradero Preserve. Los Troncos Road does come to within inches of the preserve, and there's a utility connection, but it's private. And also there are connections, there are trails through Portola Valley Ranch. And so I want to make sure that could be connected, but I want to make sure that the representatives that you have on your committees are like the people who just spoke, the 2 people that just spoke, who are Portola Valley residents and have some influence on the town of Portola Valley, and can help us with that, with those connections to the east, to match all the wonderful connections you have to the west and south. And this is part of a much bigger project to try to connect to Windy Hill, and from Windy Hill to Los Altos, La Honda Creek Preserve, and also to Russian Ridge. So this is just one of the stepping stones to getting that that a truly regional trail system. This is a critical link in that that series of trails. So I encourage you to have as much representation from the town of Portola Valley as possible to help make that connection happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming to speak to us and reminding us of that big picture. Okay.
Oh, we have one more commenter, Jeff Greenfield.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Greenfield. I'm the chair of the Palo Alto Parks and Recreation Commission and Palo Alto resident. It's an exciting opportunity. I'm here to learn more about the project and appreciate the thoughtful presentation by staff. Along with the Palo Alto City staff, I've been following the project for a couple of years now. And one interest area, as David Moss just mentioned, is the potential connectivity to Foothills Nature Preserve and Rastadero. And I don't need to repeat that, but certainly appreciate the significant hurdle of access rights to establish these connections, and also understand that the timeline for the external connections may be a little beyond the immediate timeline of what's happening directly inside of the Hawthorns Preserve. I'm a regular Mid-Penn trail user. I appreciate all of your efforts and look forward to keeping them going. I'm a bicyclist as well, but more of a commuter as opposed to a bicycle, a trail user. I appreciate that parking is a major concern, and sorting out how to put together the right amount of parking for the users, the immediate users of the space. One question I have, looking at the balance of your stakeholders between the ward stakeholders and the interest area stakeholders, does it matter if there's a majority of ward stakeholders versus interest area stakeholders, and that majority shifts depending on how many ward stakeholders you end up with? And I am interested in becoming a member of the committee, and look forward to following the project as it goes forward, and appreciate all the hard work of staff and the board here. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much.
There are no additional public comments.
Okay. Thank you very much for everyone following this project. Yeah, did you want to respond to, maybe there was just one question.
Yes.
There. Okay.
Ari Nuri will respond to a couple of them.
Okay.
Hi, Ari Nuri, Resource Management Specialist 1. So in response to the question about tours, I appreciate the community's interest in visiting the Hawthorns area. And in response to public demand, we are offering docent-led tours on a quarterly basis, so folks can go out and see the site. And then in response to the second question about the outcomes of the neighborhood meeting that we had last summer in the town of Portola Valley Community Hall, in section 5 of the existing conditions, opportunities and constraints report titled Public and Stakeholder Engagement, subsection 5.2 neighborhood meeting, the results of that are fully synthesized. I'll pass it back to Tina Hug, Senior Planner.
I believe there was a question about the interest area of representatives and the resident committee, council, and commission representation. The thought with this is that those entities will have regulatory authority over our project in times to come. There are 7 committees. I believe there's 17 committees in Portola Valley at last count. So we're going to 7 of them, the ones that have the most interest in the project. And we discussed this with then town manager Jeremy Dennis as to how to bring this project to the committees, because there's so many. And the ad hoc committee was the method, the approach that was settled upon. And so he worked with the chairs to get the representatives who are on the ad hoc committee now, and they do have alternates as well, if needed. So that is the reason why the interest area of representatives are individuals that are members of the public that don't necessarily have regulatory or advisory oversight on our project. So it keeps it a playing field that is even amongst the group members. The second is comment was regarding traffic, and the report was we have received this or a comment or a similar comment. We have been conducting we have been working with the town to get their traffic counts. And we received their recent ones, and we are continuing to work with them to receive any of their most recent ones that I believe they were conducting. We have not received those yet. And we're doing another round of data collection this month, actually, we did a fall and we did a late spring, summer collections to understand the visitation, and we're doing it at Windy Hill as a proxy, as well as Thornwood. And then we are also doing a count at Roberts Market as well to see what the effect is in that market.
Okay.
Not of the project, but as the flow of people.
Great. All right. Well, I'm going to bring us back to the board, and there's a huge array of data that's kind of baked into what's been brought to us. But I guess the choices for the board, unless there are some significant objections you have to what the recommendations are, is yes, it's boiled down. If I could have the general manager's recommendation pulled up. So I'm going to go through them one by one, and I'm just going to ask for a motion for each one. Okay, so the first one is to review and approve the technical reports, A, B, and C.
I'll move approval of number 1.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions? Let's see. Yeah, roll call, please.
Director Gleason,
Yes.
Director Kirsten Tucker,
Yes.
Director Riffle,
Yes.
President Kishimoto,
Yes.
Director Holman,
Yes.
Director McNiven,
Yes.
Director Seer.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. The second one is 2A, which is the number of board stakeholders, 4 or 7. And I don't think we need to discuss that recruitment method, do we? I mean, each ward director would select. So, was there a choice there?
Yes, if you go with 4 stakeholders, then
Oh,
we do
yes,
need
I
to
see.
discuss how those are
Okay.
selected. If you go
All
with
right.
7, no.
I see. Okay. Well, would somebody like to make a motion on 2A?
Do we need to decide 4 versus 7?
That's what
Yes.
your
Yes.
motion would be. Yeah,
Okay.
7. I mean, I would be happy to make a motion that it's we choose 7.
I'll second that.
Okay. And yes, that the number of ward stakeholders would be 7. 1 per ward.
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion? Yes. Roll call, please.
Sorry, I'd like to clarify the motion is for the entirety of 2 with your
No, it's
consideration, or
2A.
just 2A?
2A. Yep.
7.
2A7, right?
Yeah.
Not 4 or 7.
Yeah.
7.
Okay. Director Gleason,
Yes.
Director Kirsten Tucker,
Yes.
Director Riffle,
Yes.
President Kishimoto,
Yes.
Director Holman,
Yes.
Director McNiven,
Yes.
Director Seer.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, great. And and I suppose I could have even just folded the B into it because it falls out, right? So we're keeping an odd number. So we are going with 6 for the interest area representatives.
And I'll move that 2B for 6.
Okay,
Second.
okay. We have a motion and second. Roll call, please.
Director Gleason,
Yes.
Director Kirsten Tucker,
Yes.
Director Riffle,
Yes.
President Kishimoto,
Yes.
Director Holman,
Yes.
Director McNiven,
Yes.
Director Seer.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0.
Okay, and then 2C seems to be a choice between what had been recommended by PNR, which if it's over 15, it goes to a committee, an ad hoc committee. And then there's an alternative, which is that the entire board reviews all of them and votes on the top 10. So I'm open to a motion.
I'm a little confused about that, given that we have number 4, which is approves the ad hoc committee for 15.
Oh, I see. Yes. I see. It's you're right. We could talk about it then.
So I think the application and review process
Is folded in there.
Yes, I think so.
I think so. Yes. Okay. I guess it's just repetitive here, I think.
So
Okay.
do we need a motion for 2C?
No, I don't. Yeah.
Well, yes,
to-
because it was the board's choice to remove the ad hoc option if you wanted to, and so that's why 4 is in there. But if you decided not to do an ad hoc, we would not
I see.
have
Let me
that.
see.
Could I just ask?
You could always establish an ad hoc committee at a future point if it seems necessary, rather than having to structure it right now.
Okay. Right. So I would say, I mean, if it's the wish of the board, then I would think that motion would be that, let's say if it's over 15,
I'll bring it back if I may,
Okay.
so that
it sounds like the default would be the entire board reviews the entire list and,
yes. So scenario 1 would be if you had 10, then you just interview 10 or less. And then scenario 2, if I'm hearing it correctly, 11 or more.
11 or more, that's
The
right. Okay.
directors all review however many come in, select their top 10, and then interview
Right.
the group that has the most votes from the board directors in aggregate. Then those 10 are invited for an interview.
Okay. And as Director Sear says, when we get to that point and we may change our minds and raise the issue again. Yes. Okay. So is that the default then that we drop scenario 3, which is the ad hoc committee?
The only thing is that General Counsel may weigh in here, but the formation of the ad hoc now allows us to form it later if you need. Sorry, the approval of the authority to form the ad hoc now would allow us to then to form it later if we get word from board president that should be formed. If we don't form it, if we don't
Has to
get your
come back
approval,
to the board.
we'd have to come back.
Yes.
To get that approval. So this is the just in case, but we'd have to
Right.
modify it. We would say the board would approve the formation of an ad hoc committee if so directed by the board president
see.
upon consultation with I'm
Okay.
making this up. I'm
Well,
not
Is
exactly
that what
sure.
item 4 is? That's exactly what item 4 is.
Item
Yeah.
4, yes,
Item
but it
4.
was specifically tied to this scenario, which is more than 15 applications. What I believe I heard Director Sear saying is like, it's if we think we need one later after we
Yeah.
receive the applications, then
Right.
I think the communication would have to then be sent through to the general manager to then form the ad
So
hoc.
really the question before the board is, I see them as 2. Either this format here is what you go with in the event we get, for example, more than 15, then we would go to an ad hoc. Or if you want to wait to see how many we receive, is then allow the board president to consult with me based on that number on whether or not to trigger the ad hoc committee. Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Oh, you want to leave it to the president to decide whether to appoint and convene an ad hoc committee?
And this again is if we receive more than 15. So if like
Right,
17
yeah.
or 18, maybe let's just bring them all.
I see, yeah.
If we get 30, maybe it's okay, let's form an ad hoc. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So would the language, I'm sorry, so would the language be then the board president may initiate the formation of an ad hoc committee in number 3.
Applicants, yeah.
Right after we receive board approval for your authority to delegate that authority to the board president to do so based on how many applications we receive in consultation with the GM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in effect, scenario 3 could be reworded, the board may approve the formation.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Could I offer just a little bit of clarification? I think the board would authorize the general manager and board president to form the ad hoc.
Yeah, you still need the word authorize, yeah.
Because your approval is happening now, not at a later date.
Right.
That's the proposal anyway.
Yeah.
Is that Director Ripple? Is that what you were? Is that the same thing? Okay.
Fine with that.
Okay. All right, so where are we? So I think so we approved 2B, A and B. I think 2C we don't need to vote on, I don't think, right? We're just basically I mean, that is going to be covered by number 4. And
so 2C would be scenarios 1 and 2.
Yes, the scenarios would have to be modified a little bit from what you see on the screen.
So it would be 11 or more would be scenario 2.
Yes. So scenario 2 would be 11 or more applications, authorize the general manager. I don't know what the term, I don't know how to say it, but the in consultation with the board president to form an ad hoc committee to review the applications and select the top 10 applicants. So it's a kind of a merge of 2 and 3.
So could I suggest one other option, and that is to make 2 be 11 or more, and then scenario 3 would be the board may approve the formation of an ad hoc committee to review applications more than 15 or whatever. Let's see, how do we do that? Or maybe just remove it.
yeah, I mean, it's,
We
I mean,
need to
basically,
approve now.
yeah, basically, if you're,
But item 4 is where we authorize the creation of an ad hoc committee. So what I'm getting at is how do we add the discretion of the board president and the board chair? If we get 30
well,
applicants.
number 4, then you just say approve the formation of a potential or potential ad hoc committee. So it's
I'd suggest that
it's
number 4 just indicate that the board is authorizing the formation of an ad hoc committee. And instead of the wording about in the event of receiving more than 15, just say at the concurrence of the
discretion,
board
discretion,
president and general manager. At the discretion of the board president and general manager.
Yes. Okay. All right. So I think we don't need to vote on 2C. So 3 is, I think it's a done deal. It's authorize the board president to appoint the board director of Ward 6 as the board liaison, and yeah, and may I have a motion for that?
Provided she's okay with that. I
She's
move that.
fine.
I'll second that.
Maker of the motion was,
Isn't that a conflict of interest, Zoe?
Maybe, but
okay, yes, roll call, please.
I just want to confirm that Director Hill moved and Director Kirstine Tucker second.
Is that correct? Yeah, I didn't catch that either. Okay.
All right, roll call is Director Gleason,
Yes.
Director Kirstine Tucker,
Yes.
Director Riffle,
Yes.
President Kishimoto,
Yes.
Director Holman,
Yes.
Director McNiven,
yes.
Director Seer.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you. Okay, so we're back to number 4. So it is back to approve the formation of an ad hoc committee, et cetera, at the discretion of the board president in consultation with the general manager.
To review public access interest area representative applications at the discretion of the board president
Yes.
and general manager. So remove the number 15.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Yep. Roll call, please.
Director Gleason,
Yes.
Director Christine Tucker,
Yes.
Director Riffle,
Yes.
President Kishimoto,
Yes.
Director Holman,
Yes.
Director McNiven,
Yes.
Director Seer.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. Did you get what you needed?
yes,
Okay.
I did. Is there any interest to see the remaining slides?
Were there more slides?
Okay. Because all it was questions, so,
Ah.
but yeah.
So just to be clear, so we don't need to approve the composition of the working group members? The slide I was trying to move earlier, we don't need to approve that?
By selecting the numbers and not making modifications to the representation, that was the approval that we were seeking. So the numbers were really the.
Yeah, not the numbers, but the composition, like the qualifications.
So Director Holman, with the approval of those numbers and given that the content is provided in the report and the slide, that information will stay. It won't, we're not changing that. So we're with that approval, that it includes approval of that information in that slide.
That's right. It's in number 2, review and approve the public access working group composition comprised of board stakeholders and interested area representatives.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. It's incorporated into that wording.
Yeah. Okay.
A lot of work ahead, but and I know it's been in the works for a long time. So thank you for bringing it so far, and good luck with you.
One last question, please. When will the applications go online?
That it is May 1st.
Yes,
And when will the board members select their representatives? Or put forth their representatives?
It's the first line, May 26th is the ward stakeholder candidate names are being submitted to the district clerk.
Okay, by May 26th. Okay.
Could
Could you send us that slide, please? I don't remember that was in the staff report. It may have been, and I just don't remember.
And maybe my last question here is
you
that,
can.
so when, can you talk a little bit about when it comes back? At what point it comes back to the board next?
Of course. So following this meeting, we'll begin the recruitment process and the preparations for the products that we need for that. We will receive your names and put that into the report that will be coming to you in June. There's the board ad hoc committee if one is needed. We will have a virtual community meeting on May 15th to share this information and answer any technical questions. And it's on June 21st when we will hold in-person interviews at a special board meeting of the board. And this is where we will change this wording. I think should be 6 interest area representative seats. And then following that meeting, the composition and the appointment to the working group would officially come back to the June 28th, and you will form it then formally. And then we will pivot through the early weeks of July to then prepare for the first meeting, which is towards the end of July. July 28th is where we're targeting the first working group meeting.
And then I imagine we'll be getting the calendar invitations to get June 28th on our calendar. So yeah.
That's a regular board meeting. So yes, and it's the 21st one.
Oh, June 21st is a
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. Okay, any other? Okay, any last questions or comments?
Just one last one. And Tina, there is no application for the ward representatives. Is that right? We just give you the names.
That is correct.
Okay.
You chose
contact
the,
info.
that option that didn't require anything else.
Okay, very good.
Name, right?
Just the name.
Just one name.
We have asked in the past to get some bio information that to include as part of the orientation packet. So that may be something we'll ask the board for
Mhm.
so that we can provide a packet to the entire group with who's coming. Picture and a bio usually is helpful.
Okay. Well, I know what a fantastic job you did with the Lahonda group. So expectations are high, you know.
The binder will be twice as big. Right now it's like 3 inches.
Okay. All right. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you.
all very much. All right. All right. That takes us to, well, there was a an excellent informational memorandum on the trail updates. So thank you for putting that together. Any questions or comments from the board? Yes, Director Gleason.
Yeah, I want to thank Brian and Anna for putting that information together. I think there's a lot of good stuff in there, and I think it gives us a framework for talking about some of these things as we go forward and we talk about the access aspects of Measure AA.
Mhm. Yeah. I thought it was excellent data. Very helpful. Okay, committee reports then.
Legislative, public affairs.
Okay.
Oh, my brain went, let's see. We added, I think, 30 pieces of legislation to the list. Or was it 13? We added 13 to the original 31. We discussed at some length the lady from the Nature Conservancy came by, well, on the Zoom, and gave us a wonderful presentation about merging housing needs with environmental needs. And the Nature Conservancy is prepared to take a lead on that. So that I think that will be really helpful because they're conflicting programs. And more about the rodenticides. They're adding a first generation rodenticide to the current list of second that are highly regulated. So that's it. Anything else?
Yeah, as a committee member, I just want to report that I was unable to attend because I had a doctor's appointment at the same time. I appreciate Representative McGivern presenting what happened. So thank you.
Did you understand it? I mean, did I make it?
Mhm.
Yes, fine.
Fine, I
Okay.
wasn't there to.
Okay, and that was the only committee. Oh, one more.
We did also talk about ways for the board to become more involved. You want to talk about that a little bit? Oh, just to be more involved in the legislative program and ways that we can have more face time with our representatives at the local level and all the way up. So I think you'll be hearing more from Josh on that topic. He'll be calling you.
Sorry, I forgot that very important part. And on that note, don't you have to go meet your assembly person tonight?
Oh, Supervisor Joe Simidian said, well, it's okay. We'll go when we're done. Yeah. Okay, and that's the only committee report. Then staff report.
Stefan Jaslark, CFO. Real quick, Fitch Rating Agency reaffirmed the district's ratings AAA. Since we paid off the Finance Authority, we don't have any AA anymore. Everything is AAA, and they just reaffirmed that. They had a few questions which we answered satisfactorily, so that's good. Then the other part is FOSM interviews are happening this week, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, with a few more next week to wrap it up. No, not to wrap it up, to wrap up the first wave. Sorry. After that, we will approach you all, the board of directors, for individual interviews with the team as well. And then to follow with the next wave would then be late May for focus groups where they will drill down on the various programs.
Question, yes.
question?
Before we are interviewed, would it be possible to get like a list of questions that they would have? Great, because I'd like.
Yeah,
to put
we,
some thought into that.
we did the same thing for the department managers. Those are like 22 different interviews.
Great.
And they provided a basic list of questions, but they may deviate from that depending on how the conversation goes.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Just one thing for me, knowing that I was expecting toward the end here that we were gonna go past 6:30 for if you would like, those who would like to stay to view the Lehigh meeting, we're gonna host it here in the green room. We also brought some food because we know it's well past dinner now. And so if you'd like to participate and sit in and listen here, you're
you
very
mean-
welcome.
Oh, I see.
Here in the green
Participate
room.
from here. I see, rather than.
Given
going to
that it's,
Cupertino.
yeah, given the time now.
I see. Okay.
Oh, that's real nice. Thank you.
Okay, any other staff reports? No? Okay, director reports. So why don't do we have any director reports? No.
No, I just reported on my.
Okay.
absence, so Thank
Okay.
you.
Yes, Director Gleason.
Yeah, so maybe I'll let you speak about our hike with Gail Pellerin, but that was great. And I also had the opportunity to hike with several of the docents at New Hagen Meadow in Sierra Azul, where I'd never been before. They were scouting an event that's actually going to be this Sunday. And it's a great wildflower show and educational opportunity as always. Thank you.
Yeah, just quickly, I had a great briefing from Ryan McCauley on our Ward 7 public interest, the public survey. So it was great. He and Corey did a wonderful job of helping me understand better the folks in Ward 7.
Me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was looking at you.
I follow along with what Zoe just said is thank you, Ryan and Corey, for the briefing on Ward 4 for the communications. That was really helpful. I had a chance to tour the Eberhard acquisition that we're proposing on the 21st and had a chance to meet with the owner as well as a potential funder. And it was really, really helpful to not only see the property, but to meet both of those individuals or meet again because I used to work with the potential funder. I also attended on the 22nd Wildlife Conservation Network Expo, which was in Palo Alto this year. And this is really interesting. These are a collection of 70 conservation organizations from around the world that are focused on protecting a species. And it was just interesting to see what they're doing as far as technology, engagement with local communities and so on to see, what can we learn from them. The Wildlife Conservation Network.
Oh, I see.
And then I attended the wildflower training at Hawthorne's on the 25th yesterday, and that was really, really helpful. So thank you, staff, for pulling all that together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. So I have several, I guess, one today, actually, at 1 o'clock, we had a third brown bag speaker presentation. So that was Barnali Ghosh, and I want to thank Director Sear and Gleason for coming. And yes.
Yeah, I just want to say, I forgot to mention that, but it was a fantastic presentation. It was really amazing.
Oh, yes, thank you. I know, yeah, she was good, I guess. And the general manager walked, she caught tail end of it. She kind of, I think she caught one essence of it, which was that, Barnali said that, as an immigrant or immigrant artist herself, that she, she's always kind of struggled to feel that she belongs somewhere here, and that this turned out to be a way to kind of connect. And so I thought that was good. So I know she enjoyed it herself, and it was also a really great way to partner with the Native Plant Society. So they sent out to their big list. So a lot of the people who came were from the Native Plant Society members. And then let me see, a weekend or two ago, Director Gleason joined me in hosting, and then also and then Josh Hug and Tina Hug and joined with Gail to Assembly Member Gail Pellerin to Umanum. Unfortunately, we had a spectacular day, weather, and it was just a lot of fun. So that was good. And then on June 1st, I did also attend a BCDC meeting as and I think that is it. So with that, I will adjourn this meeting and thank you all very much for it's a good discussion.
Thanks, everybody.